Fala galera do Flow Games, prazer estar aqui com vocês, eu sou o Mika e nós estamos num espaço da Ubisoft aqui em Los Angeles. Eu vou conversar aqui ao meu lado, está o David Jones, ele é o diretor criativo do Assassin's Creed Nexus, que é o Assassin's Creed em VR, né, em realidade virtual a ser lançado. Ele ficou sumido por um tempo, então é legal que ele está aqui com a gente, pra gente pegar algumas informações legais, atualizadas sobre esse projeto. Então liga a tecla SAP que a gente vai pro inglês conversar aqui com o David. So David, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your time. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Fine, better now in your company.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Nice of you to say.
David, so we have heard not so much news from Assassin's Creed Nexus after it was announced back in 2020 in a VR event. So Assassin's Creed in VR is something else. I mean, we could imagine a lot of things going on in the scenario, in the open world environment. So what can you say to us about this new entry for such a big universe, for such a big franchise in VR?
So at the end of the day, what we want to do is allow players to feel what it's like to be a master assassin, right? And VR obviously brings a physicality that the other Assassin's Creed games didn't have because of the platform. So if you imagine like when you're playing Assassin's Creed and you start climbing and then running across a rooftop and parkouring over the streets, and then you come to a rooftop edge and there's an enemy and you jump down and air assassinate him, like that kind of experience and flow is really awesome, right? And you can do all of that in Nexus, but even more because you're actually physically climbing. You're, as you parkour, you're grabbing and pulling yourself up or swinging on a bar or vaulting over something. And when you come to that enemy for the air assassination, you actually flick your wrist open to deploy the hidden blade, and you're like hurtling down and you time the strike, boom. So the thrill of doing it yourself and being in Ezio's shoes, for example, is at the end of the day the core fantasy there.
Yeah, and it's such a big franchise, a big universe. We can imagine the rich story it has. But in VR, what can you say to us, story-wise, what can you say to us about the canon part of this game? Is it connected? Of course it is connected to the universe, but how it is connected to the story of the franchise, the characters? What can you say about the environment around the main character?
Right. So it is a canon story, part of the AC world. And essentially, there's the modern day story where it's you, and by the player, I mean you, because it's your hands, your head, and the way that the game kicks off at the beginning, you'll see, I won't spoil it, but you'll see it starts off as you, right? And we ask you to put on this persona of being an elite hacker, and you're hired by the Brotherhood to go undercover to work for Abstergo. Now, Abstergo's looking for these ancient artifacts, essentially, that some people over history have encountered in their lives. And these three assassins, Cassandra, Ezio, and Connor, have seen them, but they don't know exactly where and when. So you're exploring the memories of these assassins, basically trying to solve this mystery across time, jumping between different settings and different assassins as you play.
And you said some great names out here. Connor, for example, it brings me great memories in the franchise. Mechanics-wise now, so you said to me about the stealth, about the assassination, about the mechanics. I want to know about the exploration part of this game. How the game works. What can you say about the structure of the game? How do you pick up the missions or the side missions? How do you talk to other characters? How this works in the workflow of the gameplay?
So the mission structure is very much like if you imagine the earlier AC games, right? Okay. So think of that. That's a perfect mission.
The animals.
You have the animus. You have essentially a linear campaign, narratively speaking. But the environments are all open. I want to just point that out, right? This isn't like a hallway stabber, right? It's like open urban environments. You run, jump, parkour across all of them. So the core essence of as you play, you have all these mechanics, the AC mechanics, stealth, and so on. But the cinematics, we really wanted to do to make it feel like you're an actor in the scene. There's this great saying that I heard that VR, it's not about storytelling, it's about story living, right? So you're like interacting with these characters, and some favorites who you've seen in past AC games. I won't spoil it, but you interact and meet with some of them, and you're exchanging objects with them. For example, there's multiple characters talking to you. You're not just sitting there like a fly on the wall. So it's a very interactive way of storytelling in VR.
Yeah, it's not just, an arcade experience in which you pick up and go. You have to interact with other characters and the story. That's great to know. And what else can you tell us about this new entry for the franchise? I mean, how to adapt such a rich and complex universe into VR? I mean, how much time did you spend developing the game? What are your expectations in terms of the impact, in terms of accessibility, in terms of bringing new players to this very well-known universe?
So at the end of the day, our hope is that players see, realize, and experience that big brands like Assassin's Creed can be awesome in VR, right? This isn't like a little VR experience with a little bit of Assassin's Creed sprinkled on top. This is a proper AC game. But it maximizes the use of VR to bring you into being an assassin more immersively than ever before, right? So that's my hope, is that developers, players, publishers, they all see like big brands can be great in VR because that's what VR needs, right? It needs a comparative offering to the non-VR market.
Great, David. Is there anything else you would wish to talk about that maybe I did not ask in this interview that it is important for players to know?
Well, like I said, it's a full campaign. It's open environments. It's 3 different assassins. They have a lot of shared weaponry, but they also have some of their unique stuff. Like, for example, Cassandra has her hidden blade, which players have never played before.
What about Connor?
Connor has his dual hidden blades, as does Ezio. Ezio has a one-handed crossbow that's unique to him, for example. So there's some nice differentiation between them as well, and some surprises and favorite characters, and a real variety of missions as well. We call them open maps with these tactical sandbox objectives that you can approach from 360 and decide how you want to tackle it with this arsenal of weaponry on your body that you just pull off your hip or your chest. So we're excited.
Nice. And David, just to end this interview, can you give a big shout to all the millions of Brazilian fans that are going to be watching this?
Brazil, we can't wait for you to see it. We love you, Brazil. Welcome to Nexus.
Thank you very much, David. Então, galera, voltando a teclinha SAP aqui para o português, esse foi o David Butipka, diretor criativo, para a gente conversar aqui um pouco sobre Assassin's Creed Nexus, o Assassin's Creed em VR, em realidade virtual, a ser lançado para os dispositivos compatíveis. Uma experiência nova dentro de um rico universo, sendo expandido para muitas mídias diferentes. E vamos seguindo aqui na nossa cobertura. Estou aqui numa área da Ubisoft em Los Angeles, aproveitando algumas oportunidades que a gente está recebendo. Eu vou conversar aqui hoje com o Andrew Chen, que é o produtor executivo do Assassin's Creed Jade, que tá vindo aí o Assassin's Creed Mobile, para quem não se lembra, o Assassin's Creed na China, tá certo? Vai ser lançado para iOS, para dispositivos iOS da Apple e para Android. Então vou fazer algumas perguntinhas aqui para ele, aproveitando isso, porque um Assassin's Creed grande, com esse porte grande para mobile, temos sempre algumas dúvidas. So, first of all, então, mudando aqui para a tecla SAP, liga o inglês aí, beleza? A legendinha bonitinha para vocês e vambora. Andrew, thank you very much for being here with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, thank you. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So, Andrew, when we talk about Assassin's Creed, we can imagine open world games, a very big structure, a lot of NPCs, characters, story, a lot of good things happening. When you take this structure and you put into the mobile phones, Android, iOS, how do you manage to get so many things in the mobile?
Yeah, so this is our ultimate challenge, right? So we already have very anticipated features from Assassin's Creed, like combat, stealth, assassinations, leap of faith, and the storyline, which is a very important part of Assassin's Creed franchise. So that's our ultimate goal, to make sure everything is existing in Assassin's Creed Codename Jade. And you will be able to see all of that, actually, this summer in our closed beta. And our closed beta will be this phase where we will be trying to tune all of these things. So yeah, in our calls beta, we'll be getting your feedback to make sure we're achieving these features you've mentioned. So, and the graphics as well. So Unreal Engine kind of gives us an opportunity to reach this level as well.
Nice. And Andre, story-wise, we know that Assassin's Creed has a very big and rich story going to the past, to the future, to the present. Is this game canon in the Assassin's Creed universe? What can you tell us about the animals, about the story, about some decisions you have made, story-wise talking, in Assassin's Creed Jade?
Yeah, so this game has a brand new story, and it is also connected to the different other franchises and the rest of the universe. More of that, so you will see some of the familiar faces as well in the Assassin's Creed codename Jade. So it is connected. It is a brand new story. So, and we are also investing a lot of effort to make sure this is a story which Assassin's Creed title deserves.
I like to hear that. I like the sound of that. Some familiar characters, nice to know. So, Andre, what can you tell us about the controls, about some of the mechanics? I mean, we are talking about mobile, right? So people are using their devices everywhere, cell phone or tablets. So what can you tell us about how did you manage to adapt some of those controls using this mobile universe?
This is always like the biggest challenge, especially when you have these features people already expect, and they're like inherently console features. The controls and UI is the biggest challenge. So everything there is made from scratch. So we have to invest a lot of design decisions and design resources to make it happen. And what we're doing is we're constantly testing it on players, on real Assassin's Creed players. Right now, we're ready to get it on a bigger scale on our closed beta. But this is an iterative approach to make sure that all the gameplay features are working as they should, and they feel as they should. So when you're assassinating someone, this is a experience you already had in other games, and we want to make sure this is the same experience still.
And of course, the players can use controls as well if they wish.
So right now we're focused on the touch screen because it's still early in development, so we need to make sure that the touch screen controls feel good. So everything else is after that.
Nice, great to know. And so the latest Assassin's Creed entries were more like RPG-driven games, so with a rich story and a lot of stealth elements, of course. We're talking about Assassin's Creed. What can you tell us about some approaches that Assassin's Creed Jade has in terms of RPG, in terms of the missions and side missions you do, in terms of stealth? Can the players expect the same level of richness they see in the other AAA titles, AAA titles from the franchise in this new entry in terms of stealth and RPG elements?
Our stealth is a huge part of Assassin's Creed franchise, and we're making sure that it's a huge part of the codename Jade as well. This is how we want to approach the game development of Assassin's Creed codename Jade. We want to make sure that we're addressing all of these iconic features we have in Assassin's Creed franchise, which are polished for quite a while. So, and make sure this is a big part of our game too. On specific RPG elements, we will definitely have that. We cannot probably give more details at the moment because we're still in the design phase, but you will be able to see at least some of them in the beta already.
Is there anything else you want to talk about that maybe I did not ask in this interview about Assassin's Creed codename Jade?
Sure, I think one of the what we believe one of the big part of the Assassin's Creed franchise is also exploration and history. So, and we are also paying a lot of attention to like historical accuracy and exploration of ancient China. So you can see like this iconic landmarks like the Great Wall monuments, temples, the architecture of the ancient China, and also how people live, their customs, their clothes. So yeah, exploring ancient China will be a big part of the game too.
Nice. Thank you very much for your time, Andrew. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Então é isso, desligando a tecla SAP de volta, galera. É isso, o Andrei Chen deu ótimas informações aqui pra gente sobre o Assassin's Creed Jade, que é um Assassin's Creed a ser lançado aí para mobile, dispositivos iOS, né, iPhone, tablets e Android. Vamos continuar de olho. Ele falou muitas coisas legais de rostos familiares que vamos encontrar, as mecânicas de RPG que a gente viu nos atuais. E é claro, não podemos deixar de lado a mecânica furtiva, né, o stealth que Assassin's Creed tem, sempre teve e sendo canônico dentro do universo. Beleza? Vamos seguir aqui então com as coberturas, com tudo que a gente está fazendo de Summer Game Fest de Los Angeles com o Flow Games. Obrigado, galera. Grande abraço e até a próxima.